Hey everybody, Karaoke here. I've been making videos for about 2 years now, and the one thing that everybody always seems to be asking and cares about, and it's where I get all my views, see in the background, you'll see it's the two most popular videos I have of all time. Hey, I've reached max level, I want to do some fun stuff in Guild Wars, but I don't really know how to get into it. And I've been trying to do little videos over time showing people the way to do it, but now I'm kind of doubling down on that and trying to be a little bit more serious about it, and I am today introducing a new series of videos that I'm going to do. Hopefully 5 videos every week on weekdays, Monday through Friday, maybe a little weekend bonus here and there of Q&A, talking about how to get into dungeons, get into fractals, and maybe eventually get into raids. I think that Guild Wars 2 has a great sort of quote-unquote endgame progression system. I think that it's a lot of fun. It's not quite as grindy as in other games, but I do find that people have a difficult time getting into it, so I thought I'd try to lay it out step by step, not just showing people how to do the content, but talking about the game in general, educating people, and trying to help people become the best players that they can be. Now, first off, it's worth talking about what dungeons and fractals are, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why you should do them. So what are dungeons and fractals? Well, they are 5-man instanced content, meaning you kind of sneak away from the main open game world and get to play with friends or maybe strangers that you found through the game. Dungeons tend to be relatively easy nowadays because both power creep in the game as well as some changes that they've made to bosses has made dungeons relatively easy content. Fractals are another form of dungeon, which we're going to talk about more in a couple weeks, that are potentially a little bit more challenging and have a bit more of a serious gear progression system. But really for you guys, the things to know about dungeons and fractals is that they are great ways to earn rewards in game, and that's our first reason to do dungeons. Dungeons are great for earning exotic gear, earning gold, getting mats, usually through salvaging items that drop, as well as getting unique skins. There are 8 different dungeons in the game, each with multiple paths through that dungeon, and each dungeon has its own set of rewards, and I think there's some of the most interesting skins in the game. You should be seeing some of them in the background. Rewards are a great reason to get into dungeons, but they're not the only one. In addition, I think that dungeons are a great social activity. They're a fun way to make friends, to meet new people, if you're having to look for a group, or if you have a guild and a group of people you do dungeons with. It's, semi-interesting content where you can play it, but still be social at the same time. It's a nice way to go in and have a little bit of fun with friends, and that's the primary reason that I do dungeons with my guild. Dungeons are also easy to schedule. I like to think of them as pick up and play content. You can basically say, hey, I want to do a dungeon, and even if you don't have anybody on your friends list or in your guild who wants to do them, you can create a looking for group post, and that fills up within a very short amount of time, usually within 30 seconds to a minute. So you can just jump right in, start playing, and most of the paths are only about 10 minutes long, give or take. So if you have an hour, great, you can do, a handful of paths. If you have less time, you can maybe just get 1 or 2 done. It's easy to start and it's easy to stop. I also think an undervalued thing about dungeons is their lore and story. So the story of dungeons does tie into the core Guild Wars 2 game world, and while a lot of people sort of will pew this and laugh at it and say, oh, everybody just skips the cutscene, nobody cares. A lot of the dungeon stories are really interesting, and if you take the time to kind of watch the cutscenes and explore and talk to different people, you'll learn a lot about the world we're in. That's especially true for the dungeon story paths, but even dungeons like Ra have really, really interesting story elements that you can learn as you do them. The other thing that dungeons are good about is personal progression. So it's one of the places in the game where you have to kind of learn your class and become better with it, and you'll learn a lot of the different game mechanics that aren't really taught anywhere else in the game. A lot of times players who just play in the open world, they get used to other people picking up most of the weight and they'll slack off a little bit. You just auto attack. You play the game while you're watching Netflix, whatever. And the game never really pushes you to better learn your class and how to play it. Dungeons, because you're limited to 5 people, you have a bigger role in that. A group of 50, you're only 2% of that group. But when there's just 5 people and you're a full 20%, your own performance and your own ability matters a little bit more. So I think dungeons are a much better way for you to start to learn your class better and get better at the game. Now we're going to keep talking about dungeons in future videos. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get the updates as they come out. And if it's after the fact, if these have already been published, we have a nice big playlist, and hopefully that's popping up on screen. Look up in the top right of your screen there. We have a big playlist that has all the videos so far, and any future ones we'll start to add there as well. So if you want to keep track of everything we're doing, doing and watch as you go, just take a look at that playlist. Thanks everybody. If you have questions as we go, please do leave them in the comments and I'll try and do Q&A videos where we can talk about everything. I'm really excited about this next series of videos. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have planned. And I'll see all you guys tomorrow.